Welcome to Mallory Park in Leicestershire for round 3 of the Aprilia RRV450 Challenge in GP Racing Dream. The next step, weather conditions could be better. We have a wet circuit and championship leader Callum Cooper from the Isle of Man is looking to extend his series lead. You can see the water on the circuit there. And for race 1, lining up on pole position, should be Ulsterman David Allingham. I don't envy the grid girls. The umbrellas are up on the grid and the wets are out. Second there, number 7, Callum Cooper, JDF Racing, and that's Luke Zachary, number 95, and Sam Cox on the front row, number 54. All of these riders former super teams, hence the name GP Racing Dream. The next step, they've all migrated onto these wonderful 450s and they're all out on Bridgestone wets today. The spray being kicked up and championship leader Callum Cooper, number 7, is going to get the whole shot ahead of number 20, Tom Oliver, super team runner-up from last year. Will Hodgson got off to a cracking start. Number 14 up into 3rd. You can see the orange and blue leathers of Sam Cox in 4th, and hanging it round the outside in the blue leathers, number 61, Harry Coomber, who's had a disastrous season so far, but he's qualified in 3rd. Harry Coomber round the outside of Callum Cooper and into 2nd place. Tom Oliver it is that leads, who just missed out in the final race of the year in the Super Teams last season to Joe Francis at this very circuit. Dry then, it's soaking wet now. David Allingham, there he is, number 11. Did he start from the back of the grid or something? He's well back. Doesn't look like, it looks like he's missed out on his pole position, but at the front, Harry Coomber from 11th on the grid, putting massive pressure on Tom Oliver. There's Sam Cox there, Callum Cooper in 4th, number 7 ahead of Brad Jones. There's Will Hodgson, inaugural winner of the 450 Championship when ThundersportGB started in 2008. Oliver leads from Coomber. Cox. There is Callum Cooper, the championship leader, riding for JDF Racing, ahead of number 11, the Ulsterman David Allingham, who's having a lot of work to do from the back of that grid. All of these bikes absolutely identical. 62 brake horsepower at the rear wheel, and Harry Coomber makes it look easy. He's running wide though into Edwina's, but straight up the inside again, corrects it and gets past Tom Oliver. 118 kg, they're just simply wonderful machines to ride, and most of the super team riders that have come into this championship have found the transition relatively easy. Tom Oliver's gone from 1st to 3rd in a matter of 2 or 3 corners, and Sam Cox moves up into 2nd place. Number 61 though, Harry Coomber, the rider from Bradstock, being sponsored by Bardell Oils for 2012. So many times last season in the Aprilia Super Teams we saw Harry Coomber not qualify very well, but then do so well in so many races. He had a number of Aprilia Super Team wins to his name, including an epic thriller at Donington last year where some 15 bikes were fighting for the lead. So he's got the talent, it's just putting it all together in a season. David Allingham goes up the inside of Tom Oliver, who's now been pushed down to 4th place. Allingham up into 3rd, who's currently coming into Mallory, 2nd overall in the championship. He's about 27 points behind Callum Cooper going into this race. There is number 53, that's Joe Ravenscroft, a rider that started out in the Super Teams, then went to a Mini Twin and is now on a 450. There's Sam Cox, number 11 is David Allingham, 20, Tom Oliver from Colchester. These races will all be screened again on the ApriliaChallenge.net website if you want to have a visit. Click on the iPlayer icon. All of these bikes, usually in the dry, run on the extremely grippy Bridgestone R10 Supersport tyres, but it's full wets here at Mallory. The 1.39 mile circuit being led by Harry Coomber. Harry started this weekend out of the top 10, such as the bad luck he's had at the start of the season. But on Saturday, 2 race wins, his first of the season. Wait for a bus and a few come along at once. Harry Coomber looking spectacular from 11th on the grid. Further back, that's Jordan Hole, number 99, a winner at Brands Hatch. Just ahead of Jamie Thackeray, 194. So Harry Coomber goes through, race leader Sam Cox in 2nd, number 54, 11 David Allen 3rd, then Tom Oliver, Callum Cooper, and number 75 Brad Jones. There's Will Hodgson ahead of Ross Twyman and Ben Luxton. Then just inside the top 10, a rider from Stockport. He's certainly used to riding with Ross Twyman back in the Super Teams last season and the year before that. in the front. There's no stopping Coomber. He has a 3 or 4 second lead. He's exiting Edwina's. A bit of a wobble from Sam Cox in the front end as they go into Edwina's. A bit late on the brakes, but he's made it stick. Allingham is all over the back of him though. And Tom Oliver's all of a sudden woken up. In the first few laps, he seemed to go from 1st to 4th and looked like he might just drop down out of the top 10. And Allingham has moved up into 2nd place now, past Sam Cox, and Tom Oliver fancies to go as well as they go through the bus stop. A series of corners that just seems to close the gap right down between all of these riders, and around the outside there. The white leathers, the white helmet just going by, possibly Sam Cox, was Tom Oliver. There is Will Hodgson, number 14, ahead of Ross Twyman and Ben Luxton. All of these guys fighting for a top 10 finish, and Jordan Hole's in amongst it. There's a good race from Alex Baker, the BBR racing rider, number 22, also trying to get himself in the top 10. It is the fight for 2nd, number 11, David Allingham, Edlington in Northern Ireland, fending off the challenge from number 54, Sam Cox, number 20, Tom Oliver, and Callan Cooper, number 7, the championship leader, and his lead is going to get cut considerably this weekend at Mallory Park before we head over to Alton Park in Cheshire in a few weeks' time. Here is the race leader. We've barely seen him, 61, Harry Coomber from Bradstock. Delightfully cheery in the paddock is Harry, great to have around. Brad Jones there now, moving up into the top 5 or 6, number 75 in the Aprilia RRV450s. Last year, it was a 3-way fight for the championship as Allingham looks to go up the inside, number 11, between the eventual winner, James Folkard, Connor Tagg, and Jake Dixon. This year, I can honestly say that any one of probably 7 or 8 riders could land the title in the Aprilia 450s. It has been mesmerising so far. Harry Coomber leads, number 61. He's out of shot at the moment. This is the fight for 2nd place. Oh, and Allingham up the inside, and Bradley Jones gives Sam Cox a nudge into Edwina's and says, don't forget about me. He's up into 3rd place ahead of Sam Cox now, who is coming under, well, that's Tom Oliver just behind him, and Callan Cooper coming up rather close. There is Harry Coomber. The last lap flag is out. Alton Park, of course, Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th of May. So if you want to come along and watch that, feel free. Up in Cheshire, great circuit, of course, the rider's favourite. This is the scrap for 2nd place. It looks like it's been won by Harry Coomber out front. 3 wins out of 3 coming up possibly. And his championship, it didn't look like he was going to feature this year. Well, more fool than us. It looks like he's going to leave this place in the top 6 overall if he keeps this form up. So confident, and let me tell you, he has grown probably double in size within a year. Harry Coomber, remember interviewing a lot last year and some wins in the Aprilia Super Teams, but it's certainly overshadowed me now. Tall rider, very relaxed on the bike. Sponsored by Bardell Oils. He's even got time to look over his shoulder and look at the scrap for 2nd behind him. This is a phenomenal win here from Harry Coomber. Take a bow, Harry. He wins in a rain-struck Mallory Park. Cross the line. And we've got to wait 5 or 6 seconds for that battle for 2nd, and it's close. Across the line, it's going to be Sam Cox from Malden that takes it ahead of David Allingham. Tom Oliver just misses out on a podium in 4th, and finishing close behind in 5th and 6th. That looked like Bradley Jones and Callan Cooper, with Will Hodgson, Ben Luxton in 7th and 8th. Cooper it is with the win then ahead of Cox, Allingham, Oliver, Jones, Callan Cooper 6th, Will Hodgson 7th, Luxton in 8th, Ross Twyman was in 9th, Alex Baker in 10th. On the podium there, Cool Khan collected, Harry Coomber, Sam Cox on the left, and on the right, David Allingham.
Aprilia RRV450GP Challenge, 3rd place goes to David Allingham, and to be fair, just trying to get that 2nd place was an awful lot of work.
Yeah, I started at the back of the grid, so I had to push real hard all the race, and by the time I got up to Sam, Harry was already gone at the front, and just by the time I got up to him too, I was tired. And maybe it showed a wee bit in that last couple of laps because he obviously came back at me after I had a little bit of a gap. But I'd like to say well done to both these guys. Are riding really good.
Difficult conditions. Who are you going to thank?
I'd like to thank Bridgestone, Silkeline, my dad, Ian, John, Lloyd, everybody. Thank you very much.
Well done, well done. Sam Cox, yeah, that was a difficult one. You know, all these races seem to be difficult, and they're hard fought and hard to win.
Yeah, it was fair play to everyone, especially Harry. It's just the pace he's carrying in the wet is so fast, and as soon as he got a gap, he just went, and I couldn't keep up with him. But I pushed as hard as I could, and I looked behind me and I saw David, and I was like, Jesus, he's just come back from the back of the grid, and he's in third, and then soon he overtook me. I'd lost, and I didn't realise how many people were actually behind me, so I just carried on pushing as hard as I can and made a few overtakes. Me and David obviously come together at one point up at the bus stop, but the pace is so fast in the wet, and yeah, fair play to everyone. They're just pushing me as hard as I can. And
well, you've proved now that you can do just as well in the wet as in the dry. So who do you want to thank, Sam?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank to RSR Motorsport, Mum and Dad, Chris Moore, all my competitors. They're just, wouldn't be the rider I am without them, because they're just pushing me all the way, and all sponsors, Mum and Dad, Thundersport, but Dave and Bernie, and Ian and Newt, Ian and Myra, and yeah, just thank you to everyone.
Superb. Thanks very much, Sam. Harry Coomber, well, 2 race wins yesterday, and the first today, 3 out of 3. They're just like London buses. There, you wait for an hour and they all come at once.
Oh, it's just one hell of a first couple of laps. I mean, everybody's really, really tight. I mean, the first corner was just manic. I mean, I was like right out on the white line thinking, oh, it's too tight for my liking sort of thing. But it was good. Really, really good.
Fantastic. Who do you want to thank, Harry?
Oh, I'd like to give a big thanks to Bard Oils and everybody who's helped me through these years to get where I am, to be honest, because just without them I wouldn't be here today. So.
Well, you've had a fantastic career so far in the Super Teams and now in the Aprilia RRV450 GP Challenge. Very well done.
Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you.
Well, fair to say, after these results, championship is wide open, and after the break, we'll be back with race 2. Welcome back to Mallory Park for race 2 of the Aprilia RRV450GPs. And after that first race, Callum Cooper there on 2nd overall. Well, his lead has been cut to 21 points by pole sitter David Allingham, who will be arriving on the grid shortly. There's Luke Thackeray. Didn't run too well in that first race, so we'll be looking for a top 10 finish here. And Sam Cox, who finished 2nd overall. I don't need to tell you to look out for number 61, Harry Coomber, from 11th on the grid. We saw him in that first race. Look out for the blue and white leathers, number 61. All of these bikes are identical, if you fancy having a go, of course. In competition are the people you need to contact. Ian.Newton at incompetition.co.uk. The red lights go out, and race 2 is underway here at Mallory Park. It's a fine start from pole man David Allingham from Eglinton in Northern Ireland, followed by Callum Cooper and Sam Cox. Luke Thackeray, a better start this time, but he's just fallen down to 4th or 5th. Harry Coomber is hanging around the outside again, but this time not up into the top 3 or 4. But you can see that white helmet with a blue stripe on it. He's from 11th, he's up into the top 6 already. Harry Coomber looking for a whitewash here, 4 wins out of 4, but it's David Allingham that leads from Callum Cooper. Callum Cooper entered this weekend with a 36-point lead, and there's a rider just slowing down there on the exit of Ed Wieners. I'll keep an eye on that for you and try and find out who that is in a moment. But into Shaw's hairpin, David Allingham, 2nd overall in the championship, cut that gap down, as I said, to 21 points from Callum Cooper, JDF Racing, who's in 2nd. Then Bradley Jones is that in 3rd place. Sam Cox in 4th, Harry Coomber in 5th. Harry Coomber already, well, he's just gone past the line and he's got the fastest, second fastest lap of the race, so expect to see Mr. Coomber of Radstock finding his way to the front pretty soon, with those blue leathers just behind the blue and orange leathers of Sam Cox. Such great racing these Aprilia 450 suppliers with, and it's 3 or 4 abreast as they go down Stevie Straight and into Ed Wieners. Still Allingham that leads from Callum Cooper. Bradley Jones doing a sterling job, shall I say, in 3rd place. A rider that towards the end of last season got his first Aprilia Super Team win. Bit of a moment there for Sam Cox in 4th, number 54. He's about to get overtaken possibly by Harry Coomber, not quite on this occasion. Oh, in fact, no, Harry Coomber does go up ahead of Sam Cox as they make their way through the bus stop. It's Allingham from Cooper, Bradley Jones, Harry Coomber, then Sam Cox on the exit. And this race a little bit closer than we had in race 1. Harry Coomber took to the front very early on. Will Hodgson's up there in the top 6, just behind Sam Cox. Thought about going up the inside of Allingham into turn 1, but the door was closed, and who's that just going up the inside? That's Bradley Jones moving up into 2nd place. Bradley Jones wants to be in this championship for this season, and you wouldn't count him out. Keep an eye on number 61 on the outside there, Harry Coomber. He goes around the outside of championship leader Callum Cooper. Cooper gets bashed about again as Sam Cox nicks through into 4th place. So Callum Cooper, oh, and Brad Jones out of the seat on the exit of the S is there. How did he keep that one upright? These Bridgestone tyres are very sticky, but if you're too eager on the power, that can happen so very easily. Out of the bus stop, there is the leader, David Allingham, should I say, ahead of Bradley Jones, and Harry Coomber in 3rd, Sam Cox 4th, Callum Cooper, the championship leader, seeing his lead disappear in front of his eyes in 5th. Will Hodgson trying to keep up with the top 5, just in 6th, just at the back of your picture there. Here comes Harry Coomber. He's around the outside in Gerrards. It's one of the fastest corners in Great Britain. In the wet, where's he finding the grip from? And he might even go into the lead. He's now side by side with David Allingham, and this is going to be the move of the century from Harry Coomber. Unbelievable stuff from Coomber. He's circulating in 58-second laps, and it's 2.5, 3 seconds away from a lap record. You can see with your eyes what's going on circuit. It's slippery. Michael Clifford, unfortunately, running through, cutting through Ed Wieners there. So a mistake from Michael. He'll still be able to finish in the points. He keeps his wits about him. But back at the front, Harry Coomber, well, he wants to clear off again. He wants that 4th victory. There is Alex Baker, just ahead of Joe Ravenscroft. 99 is Jordan Holm. Michael Clifford has rejoined there just ahead of Louis Dawson in 15th, but back at the front, 11, it is David Allingham. Well, he's managed to pass Harry Coomber to regain the lead. Sam Cox is in 3rd. Oh, and Allingham makes a mistake there in the middle of Ed Wieners, allowing Harry Coomber back through. Cox really didn't, he lost out a bit there because Allingham had to sit up. This is the fight a little bit further back for 10th, 11th and 12th, and there's 22, BBR Racing's Alex Baker. Here we are, back at the front. Coomber leads from Allingham, from Sam Cox and Bradley Jones. Bradley Jones has taken to this 450 like a duck to water, and well, it's got slippery conditions out there. We just saw Ben Luxton going through. That's number 94, Jamie Thackeray in 10th. But back at the front, Coomber is not being allowed to get away with this quite as much as he was in race 1. David Allingham late on the brakes, 2nd overall in the championship, but again, he just hangs on to those brakes for too long. And Harry Coomber, off the brakes, smooth as you like through Ed Wieners, takes the advantage, and look at the drive it's given him as he comes through the S's. Callum Cooper there, who is leading the championship coming into this weekend, really could do with finishing in the top 3 or 4 to maintain that championship lead before we go to Alton Park. The young man from Ramsey in the Isle of Man has been great so far this season, but he's not been on the top step yet here. Last lap flag out in the Aprilia RRV450s, and it's Harry Coomber that leads from David Allingham. Can Sam Cox have a say in 3rd place? He certainly looked aggressive on the last lap from race 1. Callum Cooper there in 4th doing well, and Bradley Jones might just be out of this one, I'm afraid, on this last lap. Yeah, that gap's too big, unfortunately, for him, even him to close. Harry Coomber's lead is about 2/10, and Sam Cox again charges through into second place ahead of David Allingham. Is it too little, too late, as he attempts to try and catch Harry Coomber, who is flying up the hill, around the Essers, and up into Shaw's hairpin. Harry Coomber, who's sponsored by Bardell Oils, is after 4 wins out of 4. It'll be the first time he's ever done it, and he'll be back in the championship here at ThundersportGB Mallory Park, out of the last corner, into Devil's Elbow. Harry Coomber takes another win here at Mallory Park in fine style. Sam Cox takes second place ahead of David Allingham. Callum Cooper will remain championship leader, but not by many points. Bradley Jones in a superb fifth ahead of Will Hodgson. Wow, take a breath. Harry Cooper wins from Sam Cox, Allingham in third ahead of Cooper, Bradley Jones, Will Hodgson, Twyman in seventh ahead of Luke Thackeray, Ben Luxton and Jamie Thackeray. And there is Harry Coomber again in the middle, with Sam Cox to the left and David Allingham on the right. Let's see what that's done to the points standings. Callum Cooper does lead, but not by a lot. Allingham second ahead of Cox, Oliver, Coomber up to fifth, Hodgson sixth ahead of Jones, Twyman, Thackeray and Clifford.
Aprilia RRV450 GP Challenge, third place man, David Allingham. Unbelievable. Again, I know I keep saying that, but just, it was nip and tuck all the way.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I led most of the race, and I knew if I went back to second place on the last lap that Sam's going to be real strong again at Gerrard's. And as soon as Harry went past me, I knew, oh no, yet again Sam's going to go right round the outside of me again at Gerrard's. But yeah, it was a brilliant race. Just like you say, well done to both of the guys again. They're riding brilliant.
Fantastic. Who do you want to thank, David?
I'd like to thank all Thundersport, Bridgestone, Silkaline, my dad, Gail back at home, Ian and Myra. Everybody, thank you very much.
Bless you, thank you very much. Second place man, Sam Cox, and what can you say? I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absolute. It was a crazy race, and I was trying to be a bit too clever at times in the races. After Donington, I learned that I had to be a bit smarter against the riders, and it's just I was trying to be a bit too smart, and then it caught me out. But I'm happy with my second. Like lads are on form this weekend, and all credit to them. And I was just this championship's absolutely amazing. I've got some really good mates in here, and it's just really nice to get on with them in the paddock, and then just race as hard as we can on track. And yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic. So I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. It's really good fun.
Well, that's what Thundersport GB is all about, the family atmosphere. Who else do you want to thank, Sam?
I would like to just thank everyone again, Chris Moore, RSR Motorsport, AF Switchgear, Power System Partners, just mum and dad, everyone. Just I can't think of everyone, but yeah, just thank you very much anyway. Yeah,
well done, Sam. Harry Coomber, well, 4 out of 4. You didn't see that coming, did you?
Oh God, it's speechless really. It was just one hell of a race. There's not a lap where anybody stayed in the same position. He just everywhere is chopping and swapping. I mean, it's just one hell of a battle.
Did you have any plan in place? I mean, like, as you were going through the race, did you have a plan where you thought you needed to be, or was it just like, go for it?
I had a plan into the first corner, and after that, no. No.
Who would you like to thank, Harry?
Oh, I'd like to thank all the riders, really, and Dave, Stuart, and everybody, because this championship is just brilliant. I mean, I've never had a battle like that, ever. It's just brilliant.
Well, it also appears to me that you have a lot of respect for each other, because you push right to the edge, and yet you feel happy to push to the edge.
Oh, yeah, like you said, the respect out there, it's just, we're all good friends at the end of the day, but yet we can push like that in the race. It's brilliant, it really is.
And sponsors, who do you like to thank?
I'd like to say a big thanks to everybody who's helped me through the year, like my mum and dad, and a really, really big thanks to Bardell Oils with Peter. He's just helped me out massively, and really big thanks.
Great racing as ever in the Aprilia 450s, but the weekend really does belong to Harry Coomber. We're off to Alton Park next. I've been Steve Day. We'll see you then.